Hi everyone, and thanks so much for joining me for another Sims 2 speed video where I am building something today in The Sims 2. I've been doing mostly renovations and, I don't know, just repurposing existing Maxis slots, but today I'm building something something new. Although it's not original, it is the Solana town square from The Sims 1, and I'm building this lot because, well, this was actually a lot that I built a while ago, and when I say a while ago, I mean like months and months ago, and I was going through a kind of Sims 1 nostalgic era, where I was downloading a lot of Sims 1 to 2 recreations, and then I just decided to build some Sims 1 lots. And I did this for a downtown lot because, I mean, I am playing The Sims 2 at the moment, but one of the things that I kind of struggle with is how big downtown is and how there's like a million different lots. And so I really wanted to work with something a little more compact and that didn't require so many renovations. And so what I decided to do was replace the downtown terrain with the vanilla downtown terrain with the downtown terrain from The Sims 1, and just kind of expand on that a little bit. So it's not quite as small, well, the terrain that I'm using is not quite as small as the Sims 1 downtown terrain, which only has enough room for like 9 lots, but it's also not quite as big as the original nightlife downtown terrain. So yeah, I'm playing with a new terrain, and I thought, you know, it would be pretty cool to have some throwback lots. And so yeah, here I am building the Solana town square. It's not a like-for-like recreation, so if you are expecting that, then you'll be heavily disappointed, because yeah, this is kind of my own interpretation of it from I guess a Sims 2 perspective, because there's, I guess, different types of objects. And I mean, the original Sims 1 lot was like, I wanted to make use of the space as much as possible with the content that I have available in The Sims 2. So it's still split into 3 sections, I guess. But they have completely different well, mostly different purposes to what they do in The Sims 1. I can't even remember what the main purposes of the ones in the lot in The Sims 1 is. I know it has a restaurant, maybe a pool table as well, but I think it also has like an ice cream shop and some other general store. But this version has a restaurant, and it has a coffee shop, and it has a pool lounge. I did mention earlier in one of my previous videos that I had built a pool lounge, and I was referring to this lot here. But that was a long time ago, so I'm actually just getting around to uploading the footage of it now. So I'm pretty much starting off with the restaurant, and this is a Japanese-inspired restaurant using a lot of the Japanese-inspired content from the base game. And I guess the main focus, or the focal point of this restaurant, is the aquarium with the island counters surrounding it, but I do section that off a little bit later on. You can see what I'm doing here is I have these wall features in between the dining tables, and one of the things that I wanted to do and that I actually discovered while building this lot is I wanted these walls to stay well, I wanted the ability to hide kind of the empty spaces in this build when I was playing with walls cut away, because I usually play with walls cut away or cutaway view, and I actually discovered that there is a custom wall that makes it so that some walls still stay up even in cutaway view. And so I went and installed that custom wall, and I've used it quite extensively in this build to section off the different parts of the build. So the restaurant and the bar and the coffee shop, the walls that divide these 3 spaces I use the wall that stays up in cutaway view, just to really delineate the different spaces. Because yeah, my preference is to play with cutaway view, and I have tried playing with walls up before, and I just found the walls to be a bit too intrusive. So this is a nice compromise for me. I don't actually know how walls will transfer in terms of downloads, because it is installed with, like, I have installed this wall with Scriptorium. And so I don't know how that all transfers over when you use the clean installer. So you just have to wait and see, really. I can include the Scriptorium download and the link to these particular walls if you're interested in having them. But yeah, it's just a nice little visual, I guess, trick that I've included here. Another part, so I've used the wall to surround the aquarium as well, so that when you are playing in cutaway view, the aquarium walls are always up, and you kind of really get to see the feature that is the aquarium behind these walls with windows that look into the aquarium. Yeah, so I was super stoked to be able to use this, because I do something similar in The Sims 4, where if there's any sort of section of a build or a kind of like an empty, like 1x1 room that I want to hide, or at least not have visible in walls cut away or in cutaway view, then I will fill that section with a platform. But of course there's no platforms in The Sims 2, so this is a nice addition here, and I can tell you now that I've been going crazy with this wall. I mean, I use it to hide chimneys and just other areas of builds where I want the walls to stay up in cutaway view. It's just a really great addition. But yeah, you can see I've used a lot of, I guess, Japanese inspired decor here. The walls that are surrounding, well, like the main wall texture here is from the base game. And I also used the ceiling beams, and I was actually looking for recolors of the beams, and I couldn't quite find one that I liked, so I ended up making my own recolor that matches the wall texture that I've used in this restaurant, so you will get that. And that was actually a super easy recolor. Like, it was probably the easiest recolor I've ever had to do. It took me like 10 minutes, if that, to create that recolor, so yeah, super stoked I was able to do that reasonably quickly. I'm also using just a bunch of base game Japanese inspired content, as well as some add-ons that I have for it and some recolors, of course. But it is super cool, super cozy. I did encounter an issue that I have since fixed with the restaurant, where sometimes Sims weren't able to sit down on the tables, and that's because when I was placing these custom walls, for some reason, when I first started using them, I had to turn constraint floor elevation off, and that for some reason that just messed up the terrain, or the routable terrain. And so I did go in and fix it. I just had to kind of smooth out the terrain again with the flatten terrain tool, and then that was fixed. But yeah, I was getting super stressed out when it started happening, because I was like, oh my gosh, like, please don't tell me that I can't place any objects against these custom walls, because I want to be able to use them so much. And it turns out it was fine. Like, the walls were fine, you can place objects next to them. It's just that the constraint floor elevation, when I turned that function off, it just messed up all the routing. So just doing a real simple kitchen here behind the aquarium. Very, very simple stuff here. I don't really show too much. I mean, this is mostly hidden anyway, so I'm not really too concerned about what's in that kitchen. And then there's a couple of bathrooms off to the side. And yeah, it is almost complete. I actually edited this lot and did the voiceover yesterday, and when I had all the footage put together, and it was only like 19 minutes, and I was thinking, oh geez, like, have I cut out a lot of footage or what? This is going to be a very short voiceover. And so I started doing the voiceover, and then it got to, and I did screenshots and everything. For once I did the screenshots before I did the voiceover. And then so it got to the end of the actual build footage, and it switched over to the screenshots, and I was just doing the voiceover as normal. And then I was thinking, wait, I don't have any footage included of the coffee shop, and I completely forgot to include that footage. So I went and did that quickly today, and then I just decided to just redo the voiceover, because I mean, it was such a short voiceover anyway. It was only not even 20 minutes, so I was okay just coming back and doing it again. And now I'm moving on to the pool lounge, and of course this has a usual bar. One thing I was mindful about with the bar was having it so that it didn't have any sort of functional seats against the bar, because with what I noticed, and I think, you know, said this before, that this is just a feature of the game where if you have a restaurant and a bar on the same lot, then Sims will be seated at the bar to eat. And I didn't want that to happen with this lot because I wanted the bar to be purely a bar and I wanted the restaurant to purely be a restaurant. So I didn't have any seats or bar stools up against the bar that were functional. I actually initially placed the bar stools so that they're facing away from the bar. And I did that thinking that Sims could just, you know, order a drink from the bar and then just sit down on the bar stool while facing away from it. But that didn't work. When I was play testing, Sims were trying to order drinks from the bar and then they were complaining that the bar stools were in the way. So I had to move all of the bar stools away from the bar. And yeah, but I mean, other than that, it still functions like a bar. And I mean, yeah, there's tons and tons of seating spaces in this pool lounge. So I'm not too worried about a lack of seating. I've got these cute little nooks here with the plumper thumpers. And these are amazing sectional sofas. I really do love these. Even this this vanilla swatch here is pretty good. And then yeah, I kind of make it into the like little nooks by putting the custom walls behind them, so that they are sectioned off a little bit and are a bit more private. And yeah, they just are pretty cool to just look at. I don't know about whether, you know, the functionality of them, but they're nice to look at. So and one thing that I haven't actually spoken about, and look, I've done a couple of Sims 2 uploads and I haven't spoken about the fact that I've been using reshade in the Sims 2. And I mean, of course I have it on here, and I've used reshade before, but I never really stuck to it. I think just because there's so many options with reshade in terms of color, you know, adjusting and all those types of visual, you know, things that you can customize with reshade. I kind of didn't really bother with it. It just seemed a little bit too intense for me. But then I decided to revisit it, and yeah, so I have a reshade, I guess my own custom preset installed, although the preset that I'm using now is a little bit different to this one. It's a bit more saturated. This one that I'm using right now is I desaturated the game a little bit, but I've switched it up and made the color saturation a little bit more intense. And so what you may notice, those with the keen eye at least, will notice that there is a slight difference between the footage and the screenshots, because I took the screenshots yesterday with my new reshade preset installed. So there is a slight variation, but not too much anyway. I kind of don't really know what it looks like without reshade on, but I can't imagine it would be too different. My reshade isn't like super dramatic. It just kind of, yeah, just slightly modifies the like the color saturation and the contrast and maybe the brightness a little bit as well. I don't have too many effects. Of course, I have sharpening on because I like my game to look incredibly sharp and crisp. I don't really like much blur. It kind of irritates me a little bit. I find that in all of the Sims games really that the UI can be a little bit blurry, so I do tend to sharpen things up a little bit. And yeah, so going in with some details in the bar, just some final details here. You've got the beams that I had in the restaurant. This is where I'm placing the bar stools, and you can see I've got them faced away from the restaurant, but of course I said earlier that that was causing routing issues, and so I did end up actually getting rid of them and moving a couple of them to be against the wall rather than against the bar. Kind of when I was decorating this part of the pool lounge, I didn't really know what to do, to be honest. I was just looking for just random stuff to put in the corners and on the walls and stuff. I did want it to be reasonably detailed. But yeah, it can be a bit of a struggle sometimes. Like I just will stare at a space for a long time thinking, what can I actually put in here? Because sometimes I just have no clue, like zero idea about how to fill spaces. And I'll just stare at things for a really long time, and I did that with this bar. Of course I didn't leave the footage in because That would just be stupid. Expecting people to watch me just do nothing with the game, because sometimes I will have the game open and just stare at it, trying to decide what I actually want to put into a space. But eventually I just decided to fill it up with lots of different mismatched kind of clutter and stuff. So yeah, just kind of all ties in together. So yeah, there's a couple of pool tables, and there is a photo booth as well. Of course, there has to be somewhere for Sims to woohoo on a downtown lot, especially if they're coming here for dates, because Sims always want to eventually they'll want to woohoo on a date. So it's nice to be able to have a space where that can take place. And just got an entryway into the bar. I mean, I've got these entryways into bars because just in case, I mean, they are a bit more realistic, and it's also in case I ever decide to have this lot as an owned business, then I can kind of lock Sims out of this bar space, because it is kind of annoying when just Sims just go behind this bar when they don't even work here, and then they're just like hanging out, or they're trying to talk to the bartender or whatever. I was playing the other day and noticed that Marissa Bendit made her way behind this bar, and she was dancing with a teenager behind it, which I thought was really inappropriate, but anyway, she was just living her best life, so whatever. And now going in with some detail from the Pineapple Forest party stuff. Don't actually know exactly what the name of that is, but it is from Pineapple Forest. It is a great clutter set, and I love using it for bars. Yeah, and this one kind of, it's got some nice brick detail on the wall, as well as some wood paneling. It's got this nice green tile on the countertop and the floor. The floor tile is a recreation from The Sims 1, so there's another throwback for you. And yeah, just some various wall decorations, and going in and adding some drinks to the coffee tables here, even though they're not really being used for coffee, but that's fine. Some alcoholic tables, and also just various bar stools and things placed around the pool tables there. This lot does get quite busy actually. It's one of the busier lots that I play with, so that's quite nice to seeing a whole bunch of different Sims come here and play pool and all that. And now I'm actually up to, so yesterday that's where the footage ended and it went straight into screenshots, and I was like, wait, hang on, I haven't even got any footage of the coffee shop. So here I am doing that now. And I mean, it's nice to have a coffee shop on I guess a lot where you might go on a date, because sometimes energy can become a problem, especially if you don't, your Sim might be really busy with work and they don't often get a chance to go out. And so you might I tend to send my Sims out on dates a lot of the time after they've finished work, and sometimes they can be tired when they do get downtown, or they'll be downtown for not very long and then they'll start getting tired, and so having a place for them to get coffee really helps with that. So yeah, this is a very useful addition to this build. And we've just got the fireplace there, we've got some seating that surrounds it, and we've also got some seating up against the wall, and there will be a ton of bookshelves that go up against it as well. It's actually quite funny because someone posted a meme on a little while ago now on the just talking about The Sims 4 and The Sims 4 Business and Hobbies pack, and then the meme was just making fun of the fact that everyone basically, when The Sims 4 Business and Hobbies came out, made a coffee shop that's also a bookstore. And I mean, just kind of, I guess making fun of everyone's lack of creativity in terms of ideas for businesses and coffee shops and all that. And I mean, it is a pretty easy, it's like a go-to to make a coffee shop and to have it also be either a bookshop or also a space where Sims can read. And I just feel like they go together really well. I mean, in The Sims, like a coffee shop generally won't really ones that I go to anyway, don't really have bookshelves and things for you to read when you're there. But in The Sims, I feel like you do really need something for them to do other than just sit down and drink coffee, because then it's kind of a little bit boring otherwise. And so having some interactive objects really does help with the appeal of going to a coffee shop. And so and I feel like just a bookshelf and reading stuff is like a nice they complement coffee shops quite well. They're quiet, they're not really that obnoxious. I mean, you can do other sorts of cafes as well. Like I like to do, I guess, old school kind of internet cafes where it's like a coffee shop and it also has computers. But yeah, which I have actually done in another build as well that I do need to get around to uploading. But yeah, I mean, this is how the coffee shop is coming together. There are some slight changes compared to from what I've done here compared to the screenshots, because I was a little bit iffy about the placement of the cabinets and the mugs underneath the cabinets. They were off center, and so I just went and centered them for the screenshots. I also forgot to put a light in the toilet in this build. It's really one of my classic kind of signature traits now, is just to not put lights in certain places of builds. But yeah, I'm glad I actually have been playtesting these lots thoroughly, because yeah, I tend to have noticed just not tons of problems, but just I'm noticing problems, and yeah, I'm just glad that I actually am able to fix them before I upload them. So yeah, I mean, just finishing up the detail with the coffee shops. We've got some mugs here, beautiful mugs up against the wall, but you can see they're kind of off center, right, from the main counter. They're just off to the right a little bit. So in the screenshots I came and centered them, and I also got rid of the counter, the cabinet on the far left, so that the cabinets and the counters and the cabinets all line up quite nicely. Now I'm coming in and adding some decorations to the counters of the cafe. I mean, I've got these like little decorative cakes here, but I mean, yeah, Sims can't really order food here. If they want food, they need to go to the restaurant. But it looks nice anyway, so happy to be able to add these. And yeah, just getting a bit lazy with the OMSPs, kind of, because the slots were getting in the way, so I just quickly filled them up with OMSPs instead of moving the counters out of the way. Just easier to do it that way sometimes. And yeah, making sure that these are on walkthrough OMSPs, so that just to reduce any sort of reduce the chance of there being any issues with routing, because the OMSPs are in the way. So having them on walkthrough OMSPs really does help alleviate any sort of issues around routing. Now I've pulled the counters out a little bit because I did put a tile behind the bar, and I can't actually remember if I keep that tile or not. I may do, but yeah, I can't remember. If I do, then that's fine, it looks fine. But if I don't, then I should have really just put the counters back. I just don't remember seeing it last time I played it. The tiles on the floor there. Now we've got these end tables, and just doing some last minute decorations with those. Nothing too extravagant, just putting a couple of lamps on those. And I'm fiddling around with the OMSPs here, because these end tables don't have a middle slot that works for some reason. The object needs to be on a small OMSP to slot in the middle of those end tables. I don't know why, but it is what it is, so that's just why I'm doing that there. And then I've got this outdoor space with a fountain and a nice little garden space, and then I'm using this lamp, which is a recreation from The Sims 1 with the downtown logo on it. I think that's pretty cool. I am probably going to use that often in my downtown builds, my nicer downtown builds anyway, probably not the grungy ones, because it is quite a nice looking lamp. And then going in with some more detail with the vents on the sidewalk there. This sidewalk texture is also from The Sims 1, so yeah, a lot of throwbacks from The Sims 1 here, which I love. I mean, I said I went on a downloading spree, and I was right into The Sims, feeling a lot of Sims 1 nostalgia, and I mean, I've kept all of the downloads and I have been using them. I'm just kind of, yeah, not so obsessed with it as I was when I was kind of putting this together, this build here. Now I've added in some awnings, and I use these custom awnings because the vanilla awnings I didn't quite like the way that they looked. I felt like I had a bit more control with the custom awnings there. And now we're at the screenshots. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this build. If you'd like to download it, it is linked in the description. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about this today. So thanks so much for watching. As always, it's a pleasure to bring these to you, and I will leave you to enjoy the rest of the screenshots. Take care, and I will talk to you later.